You are Locked On Lions Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Detroit on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Oh, baby, what's going on? I tell you what, I don't know if I have it in me for those kind of nail-biting games. My heart's beating a million miles an hour, but the Lions get the win to open the season on Sunday Night Football. It took overtime, and in dramatic fashion, how about a little walk-off touchdown to end it? David Montgomery goes in behind that offensive line, and the Lions wanted to say survive in overtime because at times it felt like tonight was a survival mission, but they get it done and ultimately get the win to open the season 1-0. That sounds really good. Welcome into a live Locked On Lions postcast. And oh yeah, that's right. The regular season is here. We had a few Locked On Lions postcasts in the preseason, but now it's the real thing, baby. And what a way to start. My goodness. Overtime win. Some things to clean up. That's for sure. We're going to break all that down. We are going to talk about how good of a display the Lions were able to put forth in overtime there. Man, that was awesome stuff. And that 2-minute drill drive to tie it. And Jared Goff wasn't always at his best tonight. And I think you got to give the Rams defense some credit as well. But when it mattered the most, the lights were shining the brightest, the 2-minute drill to tie the game, and then ultimately the statement drive to win it in overtime. So dial it in. Let's make it happen. Thanks so much for making Locked On Lions postcast your post-game destination. And here's how it works. The game ends. We go live on the Locked On Detroit YouTube page, and then the audio version is available on the Locked On Lions cast. So if you're new around here, that's exactly how it works. And I am so fired up to be with you. My name is Jake Rietma, formerly with 97.1 The Ticket, the flagship of the Detroit Lions, now with Locked On. So fired up to be with Locked On. And thanks for making the Locked On Lions postcast your first listen, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, on YouTube, it's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team each and every day. I'm so excited I can barely talk sometimes. Today's show is made possible. That's right. Sponsoring today's show is Prize Picks. That's right. Prize Picks, proud sponsor of today's show. And let me just tell you a little bit about Prize Picks. It's the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. All you have to do is go to prizepicks.com and use code, all lowercase, Locked On NFL to win $50 instantly. How does that sound? That sounds really good. Once again, go to Prize Picks to win or to get your $50 instantly and use that promo code Locked On NFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even have to win. It's a guaranteed. All right. Now, maybe we start with the bad before we get into the good, because like I said, there was some good. The 2-minute drill drive to tie this game up, and then ultimately in overtime. And I want to get to everybody's comments as well. A lot of people want to weigh in on this because first game of the season, look, there's the highest the expectations have ever been in Detroit, certainly in my lifetime. 31 years old. The playoff win was the first playoff win I had ever seen. And you look at the roster up and down, and this is what we talked about in the preseason, the expectations. It was time to stop talking about the expectations and start seeing it on the field. And I think there were times in that game where this team, and it's over the course of 60 minutes in an NFL game, it's an all-out war. There's going to be some highs, there's going to be some lows, but this Lions team had to withstand some bumps and bruises and had to take it on the chin a couple of times. And there was a time where Sean McVay was carving up this defense, and Matthew Stafford, with time to throw, the defensive line was not getting home. And say what you will, but this Lions defense got carved up to the tune of 17 unanswered points. And on the other side, 3 and outs by the offense in the second half. Can't have that. And anytime you go up 17-3 on a team, you got the crowd into it. You've got Jameson Williams, who I should have mentioned earlier. What a game he had. First career 100-yard receiving game. He was electric. He was dynamic. We saw a glimpse of what he can do to take the top off opposing defenses and how defensive coordinators will be seeing that long touchdown pass to Jameson Williams in their nightmares. Because when you have to defend Jameson Jameson Williams. You have to defend the top of the field. You have to defend Amon-Ra St. Brown, who I thought they did a good job of taking away tonight. And then, oh, by the way, this vaunted rushing attack that we saw in overtime. So it was as far as cleaning things up, the 3-and-outs, they're momentum killers. They're obviously, when you lose that amount of time of possession, it puts your defense in a hole. And I thought when the Rams started to have a lot of their success, it was a combination of the Rams clicking on all cylinders, sure, but also the fatigue setting in of this Lions defense. And you look at the time of possession, and the Rams held the ball for over 34 minutes, nearly 35 minutes. And thanks to a long drive by the Lions in overtime, it made it a little bit more respectable. And you can look at a box score, and there's a number of different takeaways to say, oh, this is where we have to be better. And you can win games without winning the time of possession. Am I saying that's the most, important statistic in a box score? Absolutely not. But when this defense started to get a little bit worn down is when Matthew Stafford and the pre-snap motions that they talked about on the Sunday night broadcast with Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth, talking about how Stafford and McVay just get into a rhythm and they get a couple of first downs, the confidence grows, and all of a sudden Stafford is delivering throws. And for the defense, I thought they looked so much improved in the first half, played with great passion, with great energy in the first half, and made some really good plays. That interception from Kirby Joseph at the end of the first half was a complete game changer. I wrote that down in my notes because all of a sudden you're up 10-3. Rams are going in to score. Kirby Joseph makes a big play. Terrible throw by Matthew Stafford. But I put this on Twitter. I'm convinced Stafford didn't see Kirby Joseph. Like, the ultimate coverage disguise is actually disguising in camouflage Lions blue in the end zone for Kirby Joseph to go make that interception. But no, he made a great play on the ball, and that was a huge play. And that goes to my original point in the open, that when you have a team down 17-3 and you're playing as well as the Lions were, you got to finish it. And I'm sure that's what Dan Campbell is telling his team right now. But it's hard to win in the NFL, and the Lions did that tonight, which I think is ultimately the takeaway. You get a chance to go tie the game up with the 2-minute drill. Would I have loved for Jared Goff to lead a touchdown drive there? Yes, absolutely. That 3rd and 2, would love to have that back. But hey, you did enough to force overtime. And it takes a little bit of luck too. I mean, winning that coin toss, when you got a 50-50 shot, right? And ultimately, no two NFL games are going to look the exact same. And this one certainly had some highs and some lows. But when push came to shove, the lights were the brightest. You had an opportunity to go finish the game behind your offensive line. It was Ben Johnson's brilliant play calling. I love the play call to begin the overtime session, the little end around, and not to Jameson Williams like you might expect and like you saw earlier in the game, but to Khalif Raymond. Nice little change up there. You move the sticks, and then just some really tremendous second effort running, both by David Montgomery and by Jahmyr Gibbs, who Jahmyr Gibbs I thought was really, really good tonight too. And it's starting to look like he's taken that next step, which is so exciting. So, man, 100 miles per hour. I tell you, I got a whole list of notes that I took, but the lights turn on and the Lions won in overtime. I'm feeling good. You're feeling good. We got a ton of people watching. We got a ton of comments to get into, which we absolutely love here on the Locked On Lions postcast. My name is Jake Riepma. Thanks so much for being on here. We are just getting started on a live edition of the Locked On Lions postcast. And if you heard from our guy, Matt Derry, love Matt Derry, doing a reaction show as well. So you want to catch that later on tonight. The audio version of tonight's show will be available on Locked On Lions as well. And it's all a part of Locked On Detroit, your post-game destination for live post-game shows. We're already doing this all year. So let's get to some comments right away. I want to hear how everyone else is feeling because, hey, the Tigers won earlier today, but I'll tell you what, that feels like a long time ago. I'm not going to lie. Tigers win the series against the Athletics. Lions win in overtime, 1-0. And I don't know if anybody grabbed that line at 4.5. I did. So I was really happy to see the Lions go ahead and get a touchdown in overtime, not a field goal. So a nice little win and cover if you're into that sort of thing as well. All right, Kevin 81 is up first. RTR, go Lions and go Tigers. Hell of a weekend. Absolutely. Grit, says Rufus Elgato de Baseball. Yeah, there was some grit shown. And again, it's not always going to be pretty, but you get that ball to start overtime. The offensive line, Jared Goff, the skill position players, Ben Johnson calling plays. It was a total team effort, and they went down the field and gained a Lions victory. Very good. All right, Mark is up next. Still HV stagnant. Second half offense. Win is a win, though. Go Lions. Yeah, absolutely. I put this down in my notes. 3 and outs in that second half. And obviously that turned into 17 unanswered for the Rams. So don't love that. Interesting point here from J Daniel 248. No St. Brown action, really. Yeah, I think that was the Rams' game plan, really. Go in there and take away Amon-Ra St. Brown, and that I credit to Jameson Williams. And you guys know I'm not a huge stat box score analytical guy type of thing, but Jameson Williams, if they were taking away Amon-Ra St. Brown, well, Jameson Williams had 5 catches, 121 yards, and the long touchdown of 52 yards. They also slowed Sam Laporta down, just 4 catches for him. Jahmyr Gibbs with 4 catches out of the backfield, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown, 3 catches for 13 yards. And I think the Rams defense deserves some credit. The Lions will get back on track, that's for sure. Game 1, I got a football cliche for everybody. The most improvement you make is from week 1 to week 2. So I think Dan Campbell and any coach would tell you there's so much to clean up after week 1. The penalties, that's going to be another part of it. I think kind of a I don't want to say welcome to the NFL tough debut for Terrion Arnold, but 2 costly penalties, although the Rams committed the 1 penalty after they got the ball first and goal. The second Terrion Arnold pass interference or whatever it was, a defensive penalty in the end zone that put the ball at the 1-yard line. But he's got a lot of improvements to make. But overall, I did think the secondary played much better. All right. Demetrius McNeil is up next. Round 3 went to Jared. Round 4 is coming soon. Nonetheless, how big was the win in overtime, and make sure that Stafford never see the ball? Absolutely. I think that is a really good point because, and I don't want to put everything on the coin toss by any means, but there's an element of luck in it. But at the same time, it's not lucky when you get the ball and you dominantly go down the field the way the Lions offense did. That was a statement win, and it had the feel of a heavyweight fight. It really did. And the guys on the broadcast were talking about how the first game, conditioning-wise, can be tough. And I think the Lions' offensive line sensed the blood in the water of the Rams' defensive line in that overtime session. So lots more to get to, lots more comments to get to. Don't go anywhere. Keep it right here for a live Locked On Lions postcast, the first of the regular season, and the Lions are 1-0. Man, that feels really good. So 1-0, they beat the Rams 26-20 in overtime. We are just getting started here on Locked On Lions postcast. This episode of the Locked On Lions postcast is brought to you by Prize Picks. That's right, Prize Picks is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And now that the NFL regular season is here, you can get in on the action. So many good promos to get to. And here's how it works. You simply pick more or less on 2 to 6 players, stat projections, and voila, you watch the winnings roll on in. There's over 5 million active members. You know, Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. And oh, get this. I love this one for the month of September. It's real simple, although he barely had more than 1 yard passing today. 1 Caleb Williams passing yard gets you 1 win on Prize Picks every week in September. That's right. Only 1 yard. He had like 5 yards passing today, but the Bears did get the win. But you get the point. 1 yard's automatic win every weekend in September. 4 weeks of free W's. Don't miss out on this deal on Prize Picks because it's gone when September ends. Prize Picks is the best way to get in on the action. It's available in most states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. And hey, I love this part too. Prize Picks puts their members first. That's right. They put the members first. So with all the withdrawals are fast, safe, secure, and easy. And when your picks hit, you can get your money as quick as 15 minutes. How about that? Don't take my word for it. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDON NFL and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDON NFL on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed on Prize Picks. Prize Picks, run your game. This episode of the Locked On Lions postcast is also brought to you by BetterHelp. That's right. You can't take seasons off. And you know what? With BetterHelp, the great thing about it is you can do it from anywhere. And with BetterHelp, you got to love this. It's always time to put yourself first. That's right. Whether there's something you like to learn, gardening, a new language, maybe even finally beat your best friend in bowling? Well, therapy can help you reconnect with your sense of wonder. That's right. Therapy is important because you know what? It's back to school time. And you know what? The back to school era can come at any age. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online and designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. Oh man, first show flying by, first show of the regular season, and what a Sunday it's been. The Tigers won earlier today to take the series from the Athletics, and now the Lions get it done 26-20 over the Rams. What a start to this one. Led 10-3 at the halftime break. Then Jameson Williams, far and away his best day as a pro, 121 yards, including that 52-yard touchdown reception. It was looking like the Lions might run away with this one, but credit to the Rams. They come back with 17 unanswered, and then it was up to the Lions to force overtime. They get the ball back with just over 2 minutes to go, drive down, and eventually get the field goal, which we should add the debut of Jake Bates. One pressure kick for sure. Now, granted, it was a 32-yard field goal. You absolutely have to make that, but he was right on in his other field goal as well. And again, that was a 25-yard field goal, the Lions' first field goal. But hey, I guess if you believe in easing the guy into it, he did a nice job on the special teams side of things. Other observations, if you will, some notes that I took. I felt like Aiden Hutchinson was so close to really just wreaking havoc on the on the Rams rather. But just a couple of times he came up just short. He forced a number of penalties. I thought early in the game there could have been even more that were called. And that pressure from the defensive line from the Lions, it felt like they were really, really close from having a dominant game. It wasn't quite that way. I think they ended up with, they did end up with, let me make sure I have this right here. It would have been 3 sacks. Yeah, 3 sacks by the Lions, including that last one by Aiden Hutchinson. That would have been a long shot for the Rams to get into field goal range with whatever it was, a handful of seconds left, somewhere in the teens. But good for Aiden Hutchinson to just end that game. I thought the new secondary, some growing pains there, like I mentioned with Terry and Arnold. I felt like he could have played a little bit better. Some tough penalties called against him that set the Rams up. Fortunately, only one of them led to the easy touchdown. But that being said, the interception from John Johnson was such a tough break for the Lions because I don't think he caught that ball cleanly. There just wasn't a chance to find that perfect camera angle view that was enough indisputable evidence to overturn it. So that was a costly pick. Obviously, Rams with momentum then, and then go down and score. That's what led them for the last drive to take the lead. So obviously you want to clean that up, but kind of a bad break too, because I don't think he caught that cleanly per se. But there wasn't enough of a camera angle to overturn it. But after the Rams take the lead on the long touchdown drive, after the interception, it felt like they wore the defense down. And, like I mentioned, that window dressing, the motion, I think it was Carlton Davis that slipped on the actual touchdown to Cooper Kupp, but that's McVay's style and that's McVay's play calling to a T. But that marks 17 unanswered. Stafford was 8 for 8 on that drive. And when you think of maybe old, I don't want to do what do old Lions teams of the past look like? They certainly don't bounce back from giving up 17 consecutive points and then find a way to rally the troops, if you will, march down, kick the field goal, force overtime, and then go emphatically win it in overtime. And that's when we love talking about how different things are. Things are absolutely different under Dan Campbell. Super Bowl expectations are real. That Rams team is good. It's hard to win in the NFL at home in front of a hostile or with the hostile crowd on your side. Lions had to win this game, and they went out and did it. Took overtime, but they got it done. All right, lots more comments to get to. Oh, man, there are so many. All right, Adam Salget up next says, woo, Jeff Wilford, my man. That's right, new Lions, get it done. You got to love it. Chris Collinsworth had nothing to say for the Lions the past quarter and a half. All right, Rufus Elgato de Baseball got my Gibbs jersey for my 50th birthday. It's so cool. There we go. Michael Garrett, can we trade Goff? I don't think that's the plan. I hope you're not being serious with that comment. Was it Goff's best game? Absolutely not. Did he struggle at times? Certainly. Did he end up with enough to get it done? 18 of 28, 217 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Goff will tell you he has to be better, and I firmly believe that he will be better. But how about him picking up that first down on the ground, an important third down? Who knew we had a mobile quarterback in Jared Goff? Anyone not firmly believing in Jared Goff, again, I just would wholeheartedly disagree with you. All right. I think Teddy makes a good point here. It really looked like we needed to kick off the rust, but win is a win. I do think there was some rust there, and that's going to happen on the first game. There absolutely was some rust there, but appreciate everybody tuning in to a live Locked On Lions postcast. This is where we'll be all season long. That's right. Your destination for Lions post-game shows, all part of the Locked On Network, part of Locked On Lions, and the audio version will be available after the conclusion of the show. And you can always watch us on YouTube, Locked On Sports Detroit. So make sure you subscribe. It's a different YouTube account than the Locked On Lions YouTube. So make sure you go to Locked On Sports Detroit. And hey, we thank you for making this your first listen. Now for your second listen, you got to check out the new Locked On NFL. Locked On NFL is now 2 shows every day. First, the madman Tyler Rowland kicks off your morning with a double shot of NFL espresso, and then stop by the barbershop with Tony Wiggins for some real NFL talk. And in the Locked On, local experts get you unprecedented NFL insight, hot opinions, detailed breakdowns in all 30 minutes. It's the new Locked On NFL, and it's twice a day, and it's on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. All right, we're going to take one more quick break and be right back to wrap this one up because, my goodness, 30 minutes goes by way too fast when you're talking an overtime Lions win. So 26-20, 1-0 on the season. Fun night at Ford Field. I'm curious if anyone was at Ford Field. It sounded deafening in there, but a big step forward to go 1-0 for the Lions after not looking their best often in the second half, but able to weather the storm and survive. Don't go anywhere. We wrap it up next on Locked On Lions postcast. This episode of the Locked On Lions postcast is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. That's right. Game Time is the only ticketing app you'll ever need because it's the best. That's not even the script. I just tell you that because of experience, and I'm going to keep it real with you. But right now, you got to download the Game Time app and use that code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Ask who was at Ford Field. You hopefully used Game Time, and you used our promo code to get those $20 off. But here, let me tell you a little bit more about Game Time and why I love it. And again, I'm going off script a little bit because that's the way we do things around here. But I love the all-in pricing feature. That's right. All-in pricing, you toggle that feature and you know exactly what you're going to pay. That's the biggest one for me. I want to know how much I'm going to pay because too many times you get that, you think you get a great deal. You go to checkout on your app and fee, and it's not a great deal anymore times. So toggle this feature on the Game Time app and it tells you the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. You also get a nice panoramic view from your seat on the app before you buy. So there's nothing that's going to be a surprise or there's no deception, right? It's all about transparency. You get that nice high-res photo and you can see exactly where your seat's going to be. Also love the lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find a better deal. That's the kind of peace of mind that we're talking about. And speaking of peace of mind, Game Time ticket covers your purchases bases covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply, but create that account, redeem the code LOCKEDONFL. That's right, Locked On NFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? Game time. All right, Lions get it done. And you know what? There's a lot to improve upon. So that's another part of what you got to love about winning while also knowing you can get way better for when the Buccaneers come to town in a week. And the great thing about this Lions team is the complete roster that we talk about time and time again. I think you could even make the case that at times that might have been their C minus, C plus game. And the Rams are they're not a bunch of scrubs over there with the Rams. As much as it pains me to say, Matthew Stafford is still very, very good. And I'm sure Kelly Stafford, was she there? And how did I go 25 minutes without bringing up Kelly Stafford? Was she at the game? And I hope her children weren't booed too loudly. No, I kid. I hope her children were booed really loudly. But lots more comments to get to here on a live Locked On Lions postcast. We got Stephen Ray Chapman chiming in. Before the last play of regulation, I was thinking this is where Hutchinson often shows up. And then he got a huge sack to send it to OT. Yeah, that was much needed for Hutchinson. And again, I think just about everybody can be better for this Lions team. I'll take J-Mo out of that sentiment because he had a phenomenal game, his best as a pro, but everybody else can, and I do believe will be better. Jahmyr Gibbs was really good tonight, but Goff can be better. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Laporta, so on and so forth. And then defensively, Hutch can be better. Even Derek Barnes on that one touchdown run by Kyron Williams. I thought, that's a play that you expect Derek Barnes to stonewall the back at the goal line. Alex Anzalone made some plays early, brought the momentum going early on to get the crowd into it, but there were some times he was a step short. So there's going to be overall, I think, drastic improvements, and I feel good about that with the direction of this Lions direction. And good comments here that I want to bring up. Where are the JMO haters now from Daking 948? And I will put my hand up. I was worried that with the firework thing, with just kind of the little off the field things with JMO, obviously the betting, the gambling. It was never anything overly concerning. There was just kind of stuff, if you will. There was noise, and he just seems like that's all behind him. It sounds like a full off season with the Lions. He is meshing with the entire offense. The charisma is there. The smile is there. If you saw him interviewed after the game, I know these are little things, but I think he's found a home in Detroit, and we are going to be so glad that the Lions invested in him. And I know it was quite the investment, and it hadn't paid off immediately, but over time, I think, and the time being now, being where we see that investment in Jameson Williams really pay off, because man, he was fun to watch. And like I said earlier in the opening, when you add that element from a defensive coordinator's game planning perspective of what he has to consider to stop, so a guy that can take the top off in Jameson Williams, the way, I know he didn't show it tonight, but Amon-Ra St. Brown, an elite receiver in this league, Sam Laporta, as good of a tight end as you get, combined with that offensive line and the two-headed rushing attack of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. If you hear me, if you heard nothing else from the show, hear this. That is a dang good offense on paper. They just need to go out and execute, and I believe that they will. So they get the win. Appreciate everybody tuning in. I wish we could go for hours and hours and just continue to talk Lions football, but the good news is you've got Locked On Lions with Matt Derry. You've got Locked On Sports Detroit with me, post-game shows. And that being said, we've got Locked On Tigers post-game shows that could be really exciting. The Tigers are 3.5 out of the wild card. If you're not a baseball guy, completely understand. But hey, this is Locked On Sports Detroit, live post-game shows after the Lions games, live post-game shows after Michigan Wolverine games. So we had a live Wolverines postcast after their embarrassing loss to Texas. And of course, we've got live Locked On Tigers postcast. And it all happens on Locked On Sports Detroit. So like today's video, subscribe to Locked On Sports Detroit, and we'll continue to grow this audience. And if you've already subscribed, make sure you tell a friend to subscribe as well, because this is what it's all about. Lions win in epic, dramatic fashion. We get to have the first word, hop on, talk all about it, and have a good time breaking it all down, supporting the Honolulu Blue. Man, it feels good to win. So glad football is back. So glad we've got Locked On Lions postcast. We got Locked On Lions with Matt Derry. The Lions are 1-0 on Sunday Night Football, no less. Up next, the Buccaneers come to town. That's next, and we will have a Locked On Lions postcast next Sunday as well. So thanks so much for tuning in. It's always a pleasure to be on the air with you again. My name is Jake Rietma. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm always tweeting about Detroit sports at Jake_Rietma. I would certainly appreciate it. Follow you back as well. Just great to connect with everybody on here. So have a wonderful evening, and we will talk to you next time on a live Locked On Tigers postcast. That'll be next. Off day tomorrow, actually, for everybody, and then Locked On Tigers on Tuesday. So have a great night. Lions win it on Sunday Night Football in overtime. David Montgomery, the game-winning touchdown. Jameson Williams, over 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. And the Lions are 1-0 after a 26-20 win over the Rams. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you next time.